y'all doing tonight? I hope everybody is having a blessed night and had a blessed day. Tonight, man, we just gotta talk about parenting, man. But first and foremost, I am Rye. Y'all will get to know me on this journey as we slide together. But lately, man, it's just been heavy on me to really understand that we suck at parenting at the moment. We really suck as human beings, but the gist of tonight's conversation is strictly on parenting. And I really be confused as if who we're parenting for. Like, is it for the actual kids? Or the people that's looking? Because, I mean, when you start doing your research and understanding stuff, we be like, we can't love these kids for real. Like, we just having them to have them. I mean, it's dumbfounding that there is over 400,000 foster homes nationwide. Why? Why are you having kids? I mean, if you really don't want to take care of them, or if you really don't want them on this earth, don't have them. We out here living for other people, forgetting our kids. Forgetting our kids. And I'm trying to see how that's possible. Like I just said, there's over 400,000 foster homes for kids that parents couldn't deal with them, didn't want them, couldn't support them, but ultimately just made the wrong decision. And it really hurts me because most people don't even consider that act an injustice to the child. Because regardless of however you feel, you have to think how they're gonna feel down the road. Then take that into account, huh? I mean, of course they're gonna wanna know who actually birthed them, who came together in a loving manner and created them. You know what I mean? I don't know why that wouldn't cross our minds. You know what I mean? Like, as people, we have to do better. But for sure, as parents, we have to level up. We have to level up. There are over 1,000 suicides for kids per year that don't even want to be here anymore. And they haven't even tasted a bit of life. So to even say that we can comprehend this, it's baffling, man. It's baffling. I get it. I get it. I get it. You want to have a life. You do. So why have them? Why have them? If you want your life to continue, Why have children? Because one thing is for certain, once you had a child or children, your life should have already been what you wanted it to be, or at least in that transition, because now the focus has to switch. Without giving your kids focus, you're going to give the world the monsters they desire. The ones that get those crazy ratings on TV shows or anywhere else. But the simple fact is, we create them for making our decisions. Yeah, they have lives to live. Eventually, they're going to be their own people. However, if they've never felt love, I mean genuine love, love without condition, why would they give it? Why would they give compassion? Why would they give understanding? Why would they even offer perspective? This is a different time. You know, back then they said it took a village to raise one child. So, nigga, it had to take the world to raise 5, 6, 7. You know what I mean? But nowadays, it's so hard to even trust a person around your child to even get that help, simply because as parents, we don't focus nor give the time or attention that is actually required to build a winning personality, a winning mindset, and just to overall build a great human being. Yet, we subject our kids to our BS. So therefore, the cycle just continues in any sense. Whatever your problem was, they're probably gonna have the same problems. Whatever got you down, whatever depressed you, it's probably gonna have the same effect on them. Because it's like once we get to a certain age, it's like, or when we have kids, it's like everything that we went through, you can give it to them. When I know for a fact that's not how it's supposed to be, nor how it is in my life. See, I was blessed to have both my parents, and I'm not saying that they was married or together my whole life, but like I said, I had both parents. They were there. Both of them showed me the ins and outs of becoming a man. To becoming a man, and becoming a man means that you have to understand difficult things. And I shouldn't even say becoming a man, becoming an adult. It's understanding difficult things, being able to cope with difficult things. But understand that took years, from adolescence. Not just here, there, here, there. It was a constant struggle, because you once were a child and you understand the mind of a child. So it takes so much to actually reach a child, because it took a lot to reach you. And even if it didn't, it never came out like you thought as a child. because your mindset didn't picture the whole board because you couldn't see the whole board. You saw bits and pieces, so you put those together. You thought that was the end game. Got to an adult, and so the spectrum was totally different. Your kids are not that different from you. There's too many single parent households, which, granted, I could say there are a lot of single mother households that she's trying to raise either a girl to be a woman, a boy to be a man, both, or the latter. Very seldomly does the man get those times. Definitely not gonna say a burden or anything like that. Get those times because the system is put in place to keep the mother with her offspring, which I'm all for that. That is cool. That is cool. However, majority times in those cases, there are stipulations. Those stipulations pretty much have to be upheld, or the reward of that stipulation goes away. So therefore, the mind frame of most women, not all, but most women changes. So once it changes, the money becomes more important than the children or child. So not even coming to a common ground with the father of the children or child, she will simply choose the money, which ultimately shows that to a young lady that she does not need a man for anything but a check. For a young man, that is simply saying that a man can have a child and not be there. And it's okay. Because we don't have the conversations of explaining to children why things happen. We simply let them observe, take in their own notions. But we're supposed to be better than that. We're supposed to always protect, provide, care, nurture, and give that understanding and perspective that the world is not going to give them. Because we ultimately made the decision to be that parent. There's so many ways to prevent this and still getting it on. But nobody wants to do their due diligence because the world that we live in praises the downfalls of any offspring that wasn't raised correctly. We don't even take into account that we're not even with our babies all day. So of course they're going to learn things, school functions, and from their peers that they're ultimately not going to learn from us. And that's a problem. Because the habit that other child may have picked up, because they seen it, heard it, or even done it once, but all it takes is one time. So with that one time, without proper understanding, a life could be over. Life could be over. Definitely if we're talking about with other variations and variables. And more oftentimes than not, your children are going to learn more from their friends than they will from you, simply because they're going to respect their friends more than they respect you, which is another problem. It's another problem, man. Wholeheartedly, it's another problem. But we don't want to address any of these situations simply because that means we have to self-critique. And if we have to self-critique, it means that we have to look at our downfalls and failures. And one of our, I can't say biggest, but another one of our greatest failures is thinking that we have to raise our kids the same. My child is not the same as you. Your child is not the same as mine. Your child is not the same as your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your aunties, your best friends, none of that. They all have different perspectives. They all have different attitudes. They all have different ways of learning. And they all have different ways of receiving, perspective, learning, so forth and so on. So therefore, you have to deal with children in a unique fashion from individual to individual, but as a collective. We just have to figure out a way to really fix us so we don't even have to worry about fixing them later. We just want to get to a point where we're raising the cream of the crop and not worrying if this is the bottom of the barrel. Because nothing that is produced could ever be the bottom of the barrel, but they can turn that way. So we have to guide our children. We have to discipline our children. And when I say discipline, a whooping should not always be your first resort. However, if your kid need to be touched, touch them. Reach out and touch them. Come here. But it shouldn't be your first resort. You need to understand why they acted that way. What did they see you do? What did they see mommy do? What did they see their cousins, their brothers, their sister do? Let's get to the root of this before we whoop them without any understanding. Which ultimately, psychologically proves to them that you really don't care, because every chance that you get, you just want to mess them up. We better than that. Better than that. So now we really gotta put on them crowns. We gotta put on them crowns. And really walk with our chest out. Head high. And make sure that we always on a royal stance. And not living for the next person, but living for our next person. Because those are going to be the ones that love you to the end. They're going to take care of you when you can't take care of yourself. Give them love, give them respect, but most importantly, give them honesty. And Quit loving your kids with conditions. You're better than that. I love you, and I hope y'all all have a great night, man. We're going to do better. Help is on the rise. We're the rise. Peace.